call the board meeting to order. Would you please stand and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please have a seat. Okay, moving right along. All right, well, we've already had the presentation, so we'll move right on to my comments. I have here, just so you're all aware, it shouldn't be any surprise, letter of resignation from David M. Luce, Sr. as the chairman of the ZBA, effective the end of, the first of the month, since he is now or will be a town councilman, and he can't hold both positions. We're still trying to find somebody to take that position. I know he's working on it, and I've asked a couple people. There may be somebody out there. We just gotta keep plugging away. We can probably get away with one of the members running it temporarily.
I would really love to see Karen Schlayer take it over.
Yeah.
If whoever does it, I have to work directly with them. That helps.
Anyway, that's where that one sits. I also have a letter here from a Barbara Torpy requesting a deviation from the parking law. She wants to be able to face into traffic. In other words, have the driver's side of the wheel turned inboard because she is handicapped and otherwise has to get out and walk around the car and everything, and considers that a inconvenience.
Where does she live?
She lives at apartment 1 on Jefferson Street, which is a wide enough street. And I'm sure that if the land, please, I'm talking. I'm sure that there's plenty of space on the street, and that the landlord could find some way of accommodating her if it's off the road into the curb lawn. If they follow the rules and put in there, then they can legally then face the other direction. So just so you're aware, and that's how I'm gonna send it out. And third but not last, Monday I'll be out of the office all day, as I'll be attending a conference at Livingston County Government Center concerning branding, and I don't mean branding cows or sheep or any other four-legged animals. This has to do with advertising the county. You know, coming up with logos and, you know, standard types of identification for parking lots and stuff of that nature, so we look like we have our stuff together in Livingston County. So that should be an interesting day, and I'll brief you on that next Tuesday. And with that, we'll turn it over to committee reports and reports from our department heads, the village clerk. What would you like to talk about? You want to talk about Paystar credit card services again at all? Is that on, did we put that on the action list?
Yes,
Okay.
and Jessica did have her,
Training?
yes, demonstration or whatever you may call it, and she said she did like it. She thinks it could be a good opportunity.
So I need to talk with her.
Yeah, she would be a good one to work with because she will be directly managing a lot of that, certainly under my supervision as well, and we can get more in depth. It sounded like something that we could, you know, choose to implement. It'll take a little while for all the parts to get in place, so certainly not for this building, but for future, she'd be interested.
Okay. And the other item I have on here, several items I have from your office, is just to be aware that next week we need to vote on Brown & Brown Insurance, as that is needs to be approved for the first of the year. We're not changing anything there. And what was the percentage increase this year?
Didn't notice the percentage.
That's all healthcare and all of that.
And I can pass these around if you want to see. It shows our 2019 versus 2020 product rate. One is for our medical insurance across the board, and one is for the dental insurance for those that have dental already. So we'll show the increases from 19 to 20. And those should be in your email as well.
And would you like to talk about phone upgrades?
Sure. So this past week, had to replace a device, a cell phone that was broken. And when I called Verizon, they said that as of January 1st, 2021, so we have just over a year, anything that is not 4G will no longer work with Verizon. And so that means if it's not a smartphone, basically, we're out of luck. We're gonna have to upgrade anyway. So, the phone that I did have to replace, I had two options. I could either get a newer flip phone and pay $100 for that device, or I could get an iPhone 8 and pay nothing, and no shipping. And the plan will increase $20 a month due to the fact that because it's a smartphone, you have to have data plan. But in 2021, we're gonna be forced to do it anyway. So, just a heads up, I did kind of let everyone know the other day that to start thinking of the phones that we do have with the village, what do we wanna do with that? So we have some time, but my suggestion was maybe we start deciding while this free device, free upgrade is available, so that we're not buying the devices necessarily.
So where do we have them, in the PD and a couple in the streets probably and stuff like that? I would think just the pictures and the deal would be invaluable.
What about contractually? Are they contractual phones or are they just,
They're ours.
but are
Pretty
they,
much everybody uses their own. They're not compensated for it or anything.
what do the contracts offer? I mean, cause we have the ones for the PD, but what's the contract say as regards to what we have to require?
Require like a.
Yeah, like all these phones that we have, are they given to people because of the contract or are they given to people out of,
Because of what we see as necessities as part of their job.
I just wanted to make sure because of,
Yeah, it's not a contractual thing.
so the people who have these is there any requirement for them to answer these if we call them? Like if you're calling them out, how many do we have? How many are we talking?
I'll give you a count. I'll take a look and give you a count.
I do know that Sergeant Grease has stated, by the way, he'll be here a little late this evening. He had another activity, I said fine. But he was actually looking at cutting the number he has down. I think, what was it, from 4 to, well, 2. In other words, they're gonna be handing them off rather than having their own personal one every time.
Thought of some savings there, right?
And Scott's, a lot of his people use their own because they don't wanna carry 2 phones, so that maybe we need to take a look at that. And
It came about because of me. I broke my 11-year-old flip phone. Growing out of a crawl space, so.
Okay. Any other questions of Marissa about the phones? Okay. Want to talk any about the website fee increase? It's just the.
Yes, and I did get a number for you, Mayor.
Okay.
Civic Plus, who we have for our website services, we've been working with them. You knew a little bit more of the background.
Virtual towns and schools,
Okay.
but they were bought out by Civic Plus.
Right. So now we're under Civic Plus, and they just sent a letter basically saying that they're gonna be a little bit higher costs, ongoing development efforts. And they are gonna increase their annual service fees by 5%, beginning on January 1st this coming year. The last time we paid them for our annual fee on 4/17/19 was just shy of $2,000, so $1,979.81. So about $100 extra if you're looking at a 5% increase.
Yeah, Civic Plus was actually one of the first ones we looked at, and they have come with a good reputation and everything. But the only reason why, in virtual towns and schools, was the second runner-up as far as what we were looking at, but they were cheaper. So the services were more or less comparable. So we obviously went with the least expensive. But now the least expensive is part of the more expensive, so, everything goes up. So, And you have anything else?
A couple brief things. One is that the bank accounts for the loan repayment. So basically the CDBG program grant that we had going, it's still in its final stages, but as these projects are completed, the homeowners that are the owners of the income property will have to start repaying a loan to us. I have spoken with Toma. I have to open a separate non-interest bearing checking account that the funds have to go into and be kept separate. So that'll be something that I'll be doing.
We had quite a well, I didn't have quite a discussion, but I got a briefing today from Brian about that.
Yeah.
And his recommendations, there are limits on how much we can accumulate before we start getting tagged by, or having to pay it back to the state. If we go over a certain amount, that money goes to, to probably the general fund, so they can pay off the debt at the state level. None of it would go to the county. Maybe that's what we ought to take the money and give it to the DA.
Yeah,
Anyway,
he
that's,
seemed happy.
And just one other update, you, Mayor, had asked about the audit that had happened and the water and sewer operations, some of the things that were noted for us to work on.
Oh.
Jessica and I.
state comptrollers
Yes, yep.
audit.
So Jessica and I have started working towards that, so we do have a handful of things that we've written up and printed out, so we've been working on it. Not complete yet, but it's getting there.
Yeah, we got the WIA application for the grant and everything. And I was reading through it, and it dawned on me that there was a number of things that we were supposed to have done as a consequence of the audit by the comptroller's office. And I wasn't sure where we stood on those. A year ago, everything seemed to be going in the right direction, but I don't think we've gotten there. So I've asked Marissa to pull it out, take a look at it, and start getting things together so we can come up with actually a final report, which was one of the requirements we had to come up with. Not that we'll get everything done, but at least we'll have our plan in place as to how it's going to take place. Some of it is as simple as getting, well, the most complicated thing right now, I think, is getting the agreements with the out-of-district customers updated. They went through our attorney, but there's been a changeover, and nobody really knows where everything went. So we got to get that straightened out.
I do have an email in with John Vogel, and I've been emailing back and forth about that. I did send him some things. He responded to me actually later today, so we're working.
Remind me, because I think I'm pretty sure he sent me something on that several months ago, because I was bothering him about it.
Okay.
And then, I don't know if it was in the transition, we got left behind because there were enough other things to take care of.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm sorry, and one exciting news bit is that we received our 17-18
Yes.
audit digitally today.
How's it look?
I guess good.
A lot like the
We got
15,
it, we
16.
haven't really
We have
looked at it.
We got it this
This is the
afternoon.
first I've heard about it, so.
So, yeah, we'll go through that.
That was a 17, 18?
Yes.
Yeah, there was probably a little bit of an issue on our end of it that caused that delay, so I'm a little hesitant to point fingers too sharply. Again, it has to do with the transition more than anything. I think Marissa certainly didn't know about it, and until we started pushing on stuff, and I started asking questions, where is it? And I think some of the information that was requested of us didn't get sent in a timely manner. And then there was a document that came up that they wanted her to sign. She had no idea what it was about, because she was not here. So finally, I got on the, I sent my nasty gram out. It wasn't that bad, but I got a response from somebody in a position to give a response. So they sent me what needed to be signed off, and I said, I'm just signing this thing, we'll get it out of here. Get it done.
Yeah, gotta get
So
out of the
we're,
next year.
so now we're up to date on that, and I guess we need to discuss next week about going forward with the current one. So they've already started on without a letter of engagement.
That's right.
Okay, anything else?
Nope, just the research that I did in the last few days to look at pricing for the window clings and rack cards for Dansville Historic Walking Tour app promotion.
That's all in the budget, so.
Yeah, so we're good there. That's everything.
Public safety, trustee Zay.
I just had one thing
Oh,
before we
yeah,
go.
go right ahead.
I was in a meeting today and they had talked about the county was having a shared services meeting coming up. I mean, Scott, have you heard anything about that? I would put that under legislative because it's, do we have any shared services with the county or anything like
Here he
that?
comes.
We have a shared service agreement with the county.
Yeah.
For equipment and things like that.
Because I know that it was just mentioned that they had to get everything in so that in case the state was to.
They have to do it by the end of the month. They actually, gentleman, I think his name's Joe Gunther, contacted me today, and I found the email that he had originally sent. I signed off on the paper and sent it back today.
Okay, I just, I
But other than
didn't know if there
that,
was any other shared services we could get with them.
I'm sure that what they're probably talking, is that the one with, where Ian gets up and talks to all the,
Oh, yeah, that was a.
just all the town supervisors and?
No, it was a department head one, but they just mentioned something about shared services, and I was like,
Yeah.
I'll ask tonight to make sure that if there was any that we were looking at.
I sent it back. Joe said he got it, so I guess we're good to go.
Cool.
We're working on the one for the water, or two water sewer.
Yeah, that's separate though. Yeah. But I would think they could probably incorporate that somehow.
I'm good.
Trustee Zay.
For the month of November, we ran 24 calls, bringing the year total up to 235. Mutual aid, we've given out for the year so far 39 to other towns and villages that surround us, and we had a total of 7 received when they came in to help us. Time response, home dispatch to Monroe, we got to 3 minutes, so it cut down. Manpowers were up over 1,400, guys coming to the calls, basically the same ones, but still keeping going. Length of the calls, I got 193 hours that were been with calls, either being on scene or cleaning up afterwards. In the village, November we had 14, we're gonna total up to 118. So, and we had a couple out of town, we went to Whalen for one fire where the tanker was requested, so that's getting used. And myself, Brian Wood, and Greg Hoare, when we get something out of town, automatically it's going. We get a structure fire. And we're even thinking about having that coming in as the last truck coming in as a tanker, just in case as a backup for water supply, in case a hydrant goes down or something. So that truck is getting used. Things that were done, well, 518's back in service, so that's up and going. We used it at a drill on Sunday, and it worked pretty good. Fire prevention award ceremony was held on November 19th for the 7th through the 9th grade and pre-Ks. And we had 18 poster winners, 9 essays, and 4 grand prize winners who had received bicycles, each one. And that's about it. The incident with the bus garage is, I guess, over to the insurance company now. I got information on that, so see,
Just wait and see what happens.
that's all I have.
Tammy?
I emailed you my report. Do you guys want me to bring a copy of it and reread it like everybody else does, or have you seen the, read the report on all the numbers? I don't have any changes since I emailed it to you, what, Friday or something, I don't remember what day I emailed it. No new business, Danny, other than a new CBD store that's going to open next week in 117 Franklin Street.
How about IHOP?
They got pushed back, they got held up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and pushed back till I won't see the blueprints until January. They wanted to have me have blueprints to me by December and start
For where?
January 1st, but now it's.
Country Pride Restaurant's gonna flip over to be a IHOP down at the truck stop.
I like pancakes.
That's what I said when they called and said they were doing it, I'm like, yeah.
You can get hamburgers and stuff there too.
I'm not going to a pancake place and getting a hamburger.
They're expanding their horizons. Country
Drinking
Friday has
non-alcoholic
pancakes
beer.
too.
What's the
So
sense,
we're in Java Jungle.
right?
Have a good one, Glenn. thank you.
Does anybody have any,
What's the sense of drinking a non-alcoholic beer? Serves no purpose.
does anybody have any questions? Have you seen anything around town that raises an eyebrow?
What, was there a pile of brush or something down on Franklin Street or something? It was an empty house?
It's not empty stuff. Steve Beltoni bought it a month ago, and he's rehabbing it to flip it. That's what he does. He has like 12 houses.
Yeah, we'd already
That's
talked
too.
about it, and as I
Yeah,
said,
and he put his brush out a week early, and I immediately
Yeah,
sent him the letter. By
I
the
figured he's
time we got
cleaning
the
up, I wanted
letter,
to get in his
we got
face
the
about
letter
it.
on Wednesday, and on Saturday was the put-out day, so we kind of let him slide, but he's never been a repeat offender. I've never had to send him one for early brush notice before.
Just asking.
So he just gets written up that he was, and then if we ever find he's a repeat offender, then he gets in trouble.
I would say something on that, that's almost like having a dumpster out in front of your house if it's under construction.
Well, that
You
was
know,
gonna be my next question, the other people on Franklin Street that are doing construction.
61 Franklin
Right.
Street?
How long do they get to keep their pile, which he's cleaning it up now? I mean, he's been working hard at it, so I'm not complaining, I was just curious more.
He's under a valid building permit, so.
So they can
if
have that.
It takes him 6 months to get the siding on, he can have the piles there for the 6 months.
The only thing that worried me was kids just walking by, cause it's
Walking
just,
by and messing
it's
with it.
nails and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
mean, other than that, I could care
I
less.
can tell you, they're a responsible.
Oh,
family
absolutely.
Because they have 3 kids of their own.
Yep, they worked
So-
hard over there all summer.
So when I go there for inspections, he does really try hard to make sure that, you know, he's always like, you can pull in the driveway, I already made sure there's no nails or anything and things
Yeah.
like that, so.
No, they're good, I mean, he had a
But yeah,
dumpster there for quite a
unfortunately, the
while.
pile of siding and miscellaneous you'll probably see all winter.
I
'cause it's
think he's been
slower.
paring it down though, it seems to getting smaller.
It is, he's
Yeah,
reset
like I
the
say,
whole
I'm
house,
not,
yeah.
I had somebody ask me about it and I kinda like, look, they're doing a great job on the house, you know, it's.
They're trying.
Yeah.
That house is better than it was
And he
when
had
the
a
horse was
dumpster.
falling in.
61 Franklin Street has been a nightmare for years, and now it's getting better, so.
Yeah, he's done, he had a dumpster out there, he cut a ton of brush, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, and the other one on Franklin Street, his permit expired and we couldn't renew it until he put outside surfaces on.
He did?
So the inside of the house is still gutted and hasn't been redone. He went ahead and re-sided it, and he even called, he goes, what color siding's on your house? I'll side it the same color so you'll reissue my permit. And he did, he sided it the same
yeah,
color.
Roger and I had a conversation.
Yeah, so we're getting there, now we're just dealing with one on Chestnut that's like that. She's gotten one side sided now.
Rogers looks great, yeah.
Doesn't it? It does, it improves the whole street.
Yep.
So, anything else anybody's noticed that standing out?
I sent you pictures.
Yeah,
Sergeant,
Yeah, he's got
whatever you want, Mike.
You doing both tonight?
I'll cover the ambulance first. We received a report from Floyd, just a couple of highlights. Location, we had a total of 102 different locations that we responded to. We had 109 destinations that we dropped the individuals off. Total of runs for the month was 115. Total calls covered was 114 for 99% rate. It's important to note that for the primary crew, we had 0% drops. The second ambulance, unfortunately, for whatever reason, we couldn't get an ambulance out for the second call. But for the primary ambulances, we had 0%
Drops.
So that's very important to note. At this point, we have 48 active members, 3 explorers. All active members have completed their EVOC training for our insurance purposes. And we just want to thank Scott for helping with the drain issue in front of the ambulance court in the village for allowing that. Good things come slow, so
Looks good, though.
And the last thing is, at this point, we're checking on rate increases, and we'll keep you posted on that.
Okay.
Do you approve for rate increases if it's gonna be at the April meeting or the, is that when they usually do that?
That's when we have done it,
Right,
yes.
that's when we're kinda getting warmed up so we can be ready come
Yep.
April. I just figured as long as we were doing 2% to like all your townships that we should at least keep in stride with that. I mean, we're behind some of the averages anyways, but We'll do an analyzing of that and bring it to you.
That's what we did with the ambulance, was 2%.
Right.
Or not the ambulance, the fire department,
Right.
on their contracts.
But like I say, if, there's some on the things we're probably a little behind on, but our biggest problem is we don't get the mileage charge like everybody else does, cause the hospital's here, but.
Next.
Going into the police department, everyone should have received a copy of my report. I'll be honest, I was at a Republican Party dinner tonight in Caledonia, so I do not have a copy in front of me. If I remember right, we had approximately 381 calls in the village. And then I broke it down throughout. The evidence room is taking a total twist. It's clean, it's neat. I reached out to the sheriff as of yesterday, asking if Sergeant Van Auken could come down next Friday to meet with Officer Burley. They would do a complete audit and an inventory, and that is what Officer Burley would take possession of come January 1st. That's my recommendation. I'm waiting for a response back from the sheriff regarding that. That's the evidence room. We have spent some money in the evidence room. We're still waiting on a dehumidifier. Storage units we have purchased. Sergeant Van Auken has come down. He's looked in there. He's impressed. He does have some suggestions for us. So we're looking forward to that. Officer Billy and I will be in Latham, New York on Monday and Tuesday of this upcoming week for evidence storage training as well. Other than that, there's some training coming forward that I'm looking to get some guys into. I think that's it for right now.
Officer Burley is in the building now. Is there something maybe he wants to talk about, the evidence room?
I don't think at this point, there's been no issues. Right now, he's just trying to store everything and try to prepare for Sergeant Van Auken to come down, so hopefully it's not an all-day affair. Through the district attorney's office, the Dansville court system, we got rid of a lot of our evidence from the 1990s. So
Right. Yeah.
Our room, the mayor went down late last week maybe and looked.
Pleasantly surprised.
It looks very nice. And
You have before and after pictures?
no, we didn't do that. No, we didn't. Definitely, we have pictures today.
That was the downfall.
Gotta do the before and afters.
We did not take before and after.
That business with the pistol that I was also looking for, that may have some connection with the sheriff's department since the person was caught outside the village by, the sheriff's people. That's what I found out from the historical people. So we can follow up with that.
Going back into the weapons, that's one thing that we have not touched at all. And that's just, we're waiting for a little guidance from Sergeant Van Auken regarding that. And we asked for a copy of the sheriff's policy to returning weapons, just to see if that's something that we can implement here in the village of Dansville. That's just an idea. I'm just waiting, the sheriff's been busy, I'm just waiting on that. We finished up 2 grants the end of November. Hopefully, if we do receive grant money, we can use it before the deadline, and it's not a rush to do so.
Would you like to talk about policies and procedures?
Yep, policies and procedures, I completed them. I'm hoping to have them implemented come December 15th. At this point, I've asked Marissa if she could review them and just make sure that the formatting is all correct. But other than that, I've submitted them all to her on a thumb drive just to see if there's anything that she could help me with some formatting. I contacted, I think the boards, I wanted to be accredited. I reached out to the accreditation individuals. They kind of laughed at me and said, how many people do you have? I explained that we had 5 full-timers, 2 part-timers. And they said, so who's going to be dedicated to do this? And I said, well, I don't think that at this point with 5 officers and 2 part-timers that we can really dedicate any individual. But I said it would be a group effort. And they told me to contact the Livingston County Sheriff Department, Deputy Miller, and just see how much time and effort actually goes into an accreditation agency and see if there would be time enough for us. I reached out to Deputy Miller. He does tell me it's very time consuming and that we should probably just get the policies and procedures passed and then move towards the accreditation if that's what the village deems. But at this point, policy procedures have been turned over. I do know that Mr. McCaffrey, the district attorney, is looking for them as soon as possible. just so that he can upload them regarding the January 1st criteria that's needed.
Are you looking at a part-time person yet?
Yeah, so I'm going to read the email.
Beat them up.
It's a vicious world out there. As of yesterday, I called an individual just to see if I could schedule a urinalysis exam. He told me short. At that time, I thought it was important to email the rest of the county to say, hey, we're looking at this individual. I had contacted the sheriff via email prior to that. And as we're talking about it, I'm sending out the email. After I hit send, one of the officers told me, hey, I think Geneseal's picking up that individual. And I was like, picking him up? We've already talked to him. We're going to sponsor him. Everything's good. Long story short is that I'm not really sure what the individual's thinking, but he went to Geneseo. He did a ride along there, just like he's done in Dansville, and he kind of promised Geneseo that he would work for them as well. The individual did come down to Dansville. He paid the $54 for the urinalysis test today. He tells me that he received my email regarding the fingerprints. He's already scheduled an appointment in Canandaigua for the fingerprints. I don't know what to say about that.
I think that individual may be looking to work part-time for a couple of agencies.
Sure.
Because I think there could be some limitations as to the number of hours he can put in.
Sure.
So I mean,
As I told him, he's not out anything. The urinalysis test, if we have to share it with Geneseo, we can. The fingerprint response can go to our agency, and he could always put the ORI down for Geneseo as well. I think, I'm not an expert at that, but he could always share the fingerprint response. I know that we've done that. The other individual that we were looking at, my number one pick, I'll be honest, as the email stated, right now is not the time for him. And I think that we could have worked things out if he would have contacted me via the phone, and probably me speaking to him, talking to the board, we could have probably came up with a solution. But emailing me, telling me that you can't afford something probably isn't the answer. I mean, so at this point, I did not contact him back. I just left it that he did not want to be in the workforce in the village of Dansville, and I left it at that.
Nothing wrong with that. How about part-time clerk?
Part-time clerk, I did get an individual that's interested. We can go into an executive session about that. The question comes, and it's going to probably come up with a sergeant's exam and the chief's exam and everything like that, if the village is willing to waive the village residency. So here again, if you want to discuss that, we can, but that was a question of if the village would waive the residency for the the clerk. Not the typist, but the clerk. So that's something that we can talk about.
I'm not sure on the part-time clerk if that would even be applicable.
Yeah, like I said, it's up to you. And
All depends on who it is. I mean, if it's worth a
Yeah.
person, I guess.
There wasn't a requirement for my part-time clerk, if that helps. She didn't have to reside in the village.
Yeah, I don't think that's a part of it, that's why I was saying.
I don't think it even applies to
Yeah.
a part-time clerk.
There's certain positions that are designated, like the court clerk and the village clerk and the village clerk, deputy clerk. But I don't think, just a clerk
Right.
is required.
that's pretty much it, unless someone has a question for me.
I thought it kind of looked like all the officers stepped up on the rest. I mean, all their numbers were fairly relatively
Yeah,
even.
that helped. We had the traffic grant, so that definitely helped us. Officer Burley, Officer Chapman definitely have stepped up, helping me with taking care of the time book, for the evidence room. This month we started doing everything for the district attorney, so every morning I come in and I send an email to the district requests that we've had. So far that's doing well. Unfortunately, on their end, they're a little short-staffed, so as I'm explaining, my time is valuable just like theirs is, and we just have to get on that pattern of when I request something, I'm hoping within an 8-hour shift that I can get back to it. Otherwise, as things go by each day that we make an arrest, things just pile up. And like I told them, we're going to forget some cases if we don't stay on top of it. Mr. McCaffrey is definitely working on that. He knows it.
That's part of the clerk thing, though, that would help, right? Yeah.
You see anything happening where we're not going to be, if you've actually had the arrest? Because I guess as of the first of the year, all of these things fall into the same category under the new law.
So a lot of the things we're already doing, you know.
I know we do issue a lot of
Right, we write a lot
appearance
of
tickets.
appearance tickets on felonies as we are now. It's an e-felony, we can write an appearance ticket. Some things will change, but here again, I think the biggest struggle for us is reaching out to the 911 coordinator, Amanda, and just seeing how we can request the 911 transcripts.
There's a referral that's being processed, the process is being hammered out right now.
Okay. So
Hopefully
that's
should be
what
with
we're kind of
you,
waiting
might even
for.
be to you beginning of next week, end of this week.
Okay, so I mean, that's just one step that I'm not sending to the district attorney at this point, but the appearance ticket, the statement, everything, we're breaking them down and we're sending them to them, so they're happy about that. But the one thing on a couple of the cases, they're gonna be DWIs, where they're gonna probably need the radio logs and stuff like that. The BTO and the Raiders all went up to Albany, Officer Billy went up for a day. They all been recalibrated and tested. We're just waiting for the certificates and we'll send them to the district attorney. So we're ahead of the game, Mr. McCaffrey said, so I'm kind of happy about that. Yeah, we're moving
Have they
on.
been going up, or is that something fairly new?
What's that?
Have you sent it regularly before that, or
We
is
do
that?
yearly, but it usually takes a couple weeks, one way or the other, so I was like, you know what, we have to get it done. I was really hoping the certifications could be done now, so we can get them into the system, so the more people that wait, obviously, the district attorney's gonna have more of an issue to try to get everything uploaded. So I was trying to get ahead of the game. Officer Burley went up, I think, late November, and took everything up, spent the day there, about 4 hours, and, you know, conquered it, and just waiting for the certifications to come back. We have SJS in the cars, that's our reporting system. That's up and running, so far no issues. Our computers all in the office are up and running. With the new software, Windows 10, we're good. We're just waiting for Quentin to come down from IT from the county. He has to put tracks on the new Windows 10 computers. I've contacted him, he's gonna try to do that today, or I'm sorry, tomorrow or Friday. And then we should be squared away and all ready for January 1st on the computers.
Did you get the email from the sheriff that phase 2 is in April? You're in that group now?
Yep, I am in that
Okay.
group. So phase 2, I know that there was an individual, so maybe at the next meeting, I'll bring up a couple names. I know that Peyton, we had talked about possibly sponsoring him. That's the individual that came in yesterday for the urinalysis, or today for the urinalysis, and the email I sent regarding the fingerprints. That's just something that we have to talk about. Figure out if we want to send one individual, if we want to send multiple, and what we're looking in return.
And I think that civil service list is probably gonna come out this week,
I would hope.
because I know it's out in other counties. I asked the undersheriff about it, and he said hopefully by Friday.
Okay,
It's usually Friday,
yep.
so we can at least look and see if there's any village residents on there.
Other than that, I have 5 full-timers and 1 part-timer at this point. I have 1 individual out on medical leave.
which we'll talk about a little later.
So,
Just cap off the police department, we have 2 applications, resumes for sheriff, sheriff. You'd probably be interested in hearing that, but for chief. One of which sits in the room.
Scott.
Yeah, Scott.
and just to be, want to thank Scott for putting out the Winter in the Village, putting the signs out and everything. To my knowledge, there was no complaints or anything, so thank you for doing that, and good working together. I mean, that's what it comes down to. No complaints, that's good.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We get a lot less than we ever have. I like it.
It's weird.
Yeah, amazing.
We-
So the rules, regulations are done?
Yeah, what are you gonna complain about?
They're submitted, I know that was just
I thought they were impossible.
Did you want me to hold you up?
Couldn't be done.
I'm just gonna sit here and smile, guys. Gonna sit here and smile.
It's weird.
Amazing.
So I guess the question is if they're approved, well, approved, after the formatting's looked at and everything looks correct, what's my next step? Do you want me to submit each copy to the village, or What do you want me to do prior to sending it to the district attorney?
And what-
I don't think the village approves them. I think the chief of police or his designee, which at this point would be sergeant in charge, can sign off on the bottom of them, and they are then your rules and regulations to carry on with. I think the biggest thing is to maybe submit to the board a list of what ones you have. Are there any missing that you might be looking to put on forward? I don't wanna read through them all, but like, maybe just a list of, you know, one is this, two, you know what I'm saying, the index, the index.
Yeah,
And are there any in the future that you're looking to add, you know, are there, whatever they are? I mean, I think that
you
would be.
mentioned one already there that you were looking at.
I mean, because you gotta understand, as sergeant in charge, you hold the responsibility of those to, you know, carry them out, make sure that they're proper. You know, so I don't think that the board would approve them, I think we just are trying to push out that we want them.
Then you just gotta make sure the guys are following them.
And that's one thing that,
Liability comes in, because if you have them and they don't follow them, that's
cause
where it's.
Yeah, they just need to understand that that's on them to,
what I would
otherwise
like
they
to
get
see,
in trouble.
part of of moving forward towards an accreditation is a yearly evaluation. And part of the evaluation process is that they sign off every year that they understand the rules and regulations that are in place, they understand them, they know them, and they abide by them. That way, they can't say, I didn't know, you know, I didn't read them. That's why you provide them to them, and you make it, you know, move forward and say, okay, January 20th is the day that your evaluation is done, you have to have these read by then, so you can sign off that you understand and they understand that's a process of them. You know, and then, let's say you put a directive forward that says, this is how we're gonna do the property room, the directive becomes an appendix in there until you adopt it as a new rule and regulation or whatever, and then you would have them people sign off that they read that, you know, and then you would keep that as part of your record keeping. That way, when they violate it, you go. Cause, you know, that's how it works. They just sign once a year, every year when they do the evaluations, which I think evaluations are good. You know, and if there's a problem, everyone is above board on what the issue is, it gets corrected and you move on. I mean, valuations really are good. But then they sign just that they understand the rules and regulations of the Dansville Police Department, and you have that, say that as of that day, and then it'd be like on a computer where they would have access or however you deem that necessary. Pretty easy. But I appreciate the work.
We're trying.
That's all we got.
Okay, sir. Budget, finance, and audit, trustee Sick. We've already heard about Freed Maxick, so that's, takes care of most of it.
It does.
And you've already stated that everybody should be looking at their budgets and preparing for next year. Marissa and I had a conversation earlier going, we're the two new ones learning this, so, we'll work together to get through that. Aside from that, right at the moment, like I say, everybody in their department heads will just start looking at them and.
Do we have any budget modifications for next week?
Not right now, no.
Okay, good. That's always a good thing.
In regards to the budget, I would just ask that all the department heads look at their budgets, see where they're at, see the work that's been done, cause like now with Scott, most of his bills from the major construction should be in. So we should be able to see where we're at, knowing like when weather breaks in the spring, will we be able to afford to do anything, or do we gotta wait till after June and whatever?
Not a whole lot of money left, let's put it that way.
So we're in a no spending process.
Yeah, just to follow up on that a little bit is, oh, what the heck was I gonna say? Just had a senior moment. Oh, the job that's been done on the parking lot continues to be improved. The lights are in down there, the main light in the parking lot.
Looks awesome.
And the one over the credit union drive-throughs is in, plenty of light over there, should be safe.
Yeah, there's actually one that's out, it's a NICEC light
Yeah,
that I gotta get turned in.
or the one on the pole, the other pole, you can take that one out for all I care, or you need it, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it looks great, absolutely.
That's nice. Okay, and we just have the lights along the street, which will also have the signs on them. We're just waiting for those to come in, right?
I know there's a sign you can get. Look for it.
Airport sign? Okay. That was a lucky guess. Okay, Public Works updates. Where are we on GIS? Have we gotten that finished up now? Is Dick all trained and ready to go, or do we have it?
Yep, we have it, Nick is, yep, he's actually playing with it now.
Okay.
And I believe, there's a little bit to do with MRB yet, but it's pretty much done. Just getting the time to get out there and do it now, so.
Now, if we want hard copies of anything, no maps,
You can get right online and get it through Esri.
and we print them off on that printer we got, will that work?
I don't know, we have to see if we can fire that old girl up or not.
Yeah, I'm just saying if somewhere's down the line, most of the stuff we probably won't need,
Most of it's gonna be right on the laptop.
Yeah.
If you wanna look at it, that's where you look at it.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
it's just as easy to call Bruce and he prints it off, or he's got a printer, or MRB if I need to.
okay.
But yeah, we do have that printer down here.
Yeah, it costs $2,500,
Just for the ink for it now, it'll probably cost.
probably that amount, huh?
Anything on your new truck yet?
No, I called him, I haven't heard a word.
With the 10-wheeler?
Yeah,
Be nice to have it.
as I say, you gotta be showing up here shortly, I would think.
We spent a lot of money this year on
Oh,
truck
absolutely.
rental.
Yeah, you look at those bills that we sign every month, it's.
But I will say, you'll notice, like on some of the bills, you'll see some trucking charges. When we did some of the blacktop this year, Hanson couldn't provide normal trucking, so I couldn't basically pay for it on the county bid. We got the blacktop the county bid, but I had to do the trucking separate. And the reason I did that is because I had the town hauled for us. I actually had Ballinger was hauling for us. I gotta do the math, I think it probably figured out actually less money because the town helped a lot. I do wanna commend the town.
I was just say, I seen.
They've been very,
Yeah, I see
very
he's been
good.
really working with you.
The last, yeah, absolutely.
Good.
Turn over a new leaf.
Helped us the other day with snow.
Yeah, I saw Jimmy out there
He
plowing
was
it.
actually out helping plow the
Yeah,
block too.
that's what I was trying to figure, how long they been doing that?
Nice, very nice. No, they've been very, very accommodating.
Yeah.
Very accommodating.
Good.
So,
I may had a conversation with the town supervisor.
well, I don't know, but it's very nice.
Whatever it is, it's working.
As far as streets, the guys picked up brush, that's pretty well done. We still have a couple issues out on the streets, a couple manholes that are, actually there's one that's still got a road plate on it. Hopefully we get time to get at those. But, it just seems like every day, and today there's another water main leak right up where we just paved up here on, West Liberty and, Church, right in the corner. So tomorrow I'll have to dig that up, see what that is. But it's like, you just get a street paved, boom.
Do you think some of that's from vibration of paving that
Possible.
causes it? It was like Main Street, they did that, it just seems like.
But there's an old line there, Matt said that they think they know what it is. An old line that used to go up that street. So we'll find out when they dig it up, but that's unfortunate. Hopefully they can stay out of the street. It is near the hydrant, so hopefully they don't have to get out the street too far. That's pretty much it for streets. I'll just go into water and sewer, we can do that.
I just will go on, keep going.
All right.
You're on a roll.
Hey, by the way, compliments to street cleanup, things like that. Snow removal.
Yeah, it's been a real bear this year, that's for sure.
You're doing a great job, Scott.
Trying to get the leaves and brush. Leaves have been a problem.
Go back on that, come through Pittsford today. And they got all their leaves on the side of their streets, piled up with snow on top of them. They haven't, ours looks great, I don't know when they pick their leaves up there, but.
Good luck now.
Not in time.
It was late all around this year.
No,
Second
these
year
were
in a
already
row.
piled up and raked up.
Second year in a row, because last year we got that early snowfall, which made a problem.
They're coming down later, that's the problem.
Yeah,
Like the
you're
guy
right.
said, before Halloween, they were done.
Yeah.
Now it's December, you know? But it is what it is. At the water plant, hopefully you'll see one last building for the upgrades, that should finish that. Everything is pretty well upgraded, computerized and everything, so hopefully that's done and over with. Nick is out sick. Matt, they went up today, cleaned out the creek. That was kind of a big item that needed to be done. It had to be done by the 15th of the month, so they got that done. I'm afraid if Nick has what I had, he's gonna be out for a few days. Matt's got class again tomorrow, so it just goes to show you how important it is to have a third guy up there, which, you know, we're striving for, but kind of.
What classes, Matt have?
Oh, it's on cybersecurity and things. It's at the county tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
So, but it just shows you how fast, you know, all of a sudden you got nobody here, you know. You know, now we have water main, you know, not a water main, I think it's a service leak, but. Yeah, so it's very important to have the guys, have them trained, and have them here. At the sewer plant, it seems like every day we come up with another issue down there. You know, things that, to me, weren't done properly at the beginning, but it is what it is. There's a leak in the influent building. The water line that feeds the influent building is broken underneath the building. That's going to be a better fix. It was probably where they put the line through the block wall, probably settling or something broke. I don't know until we fix it, but that'll be a bear of a job. Things that I feel we shouldn't have to do at this point 5 years later.
This is the main sewer line coming in?
This is the water line.
Oh, water
that
line.
feeds the influent building. It's the reuse water that we use to run the screen. Right now, we got it on regular water.
Isn't there like a 7-year?
No warranty.
Been 5 years.
No,
I
it's
don't
like a
think there's much we
7-year
can do now.
labor or something you can go back on.
Yeah, hindsight's 20/20, but, you know, a lot of things were missed down there, which is kind of sad when we paid to have somebody watch it. I wish I could have spent more time down there. I thought Randy was watching a little bit better than he was, but, you know, there's just things that we couldn't even see probably when it was done, but things like that shouldn't happen, you know. It's too new of a deal to have water line blow underneath the building, you know. But it is what it is, we'll take care of it. The UV structure, you'll see some bills in there. There's the bulbs that are out in the channel for the UV that we put in. Randy left them in the prior year, so they were in the water all the time. They need to come out. So this year, we had to, actually I had Phil build some racks out of stainless steel. And you'll see some bills in there for some steel. We put steel on the north side of the UV building and then hung the bulbs right inside there, so, you know, to protect them from the wind and everything. So that's done, they're out of the water.
What are the balls?
Pardon?
What
It's steel. It's just, we put steel on the one side of the building. If you remember, it's all wide open like a pole barn.
Right, but I mean, what are the balls?
Oh, the bulbs?
Yeah, oh, the bulbs, I think you were
Bulbs.
saying balls, all right, I got you.
Sorry, my voice is a little off. Bulbs. And those bulbs are very expensive. They're like $250 a pop. They already got like, what Doug would say, $7,000 out. And I think they're good for $10,000 or whatever. And they're expensive. They're like $20,000 to replace them, so that's another, line item I don't have to budget this year for those. We knew that going in, but it's just, you know, here it is already, you gotta start thinking about replacing.
Faster and catches up with you real quickly.
Yeah, but yeah, there's a lot of maintenance. And there's some other issues, it just seems like every day there's another issue down there, but we're working through them.
Mechanical nightmare.
Other than that, that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's a maintenance nightmare down there.
The maintenance nightmare.
But I'll tell you, Doug and Chris, they're doing a good job, you know, trying to stay on top. There's been a blower down, it's been down for quite a while, actually, back when Randy was there. We finally got that figured out. It's another long story with the engineering. They came up, they call it a COCO valve. It's a new relief valve. You know, they last about 4 years in your shop. Or you could have spent, or we can now spend $1,000. Instead of $400 for these the last 4 years, we spend $1,000, put the old-fashioned kind on. It's just got a big weight that lifts up for the pressure. It'll last for 100 years, and that's what we're gonna do. And we called Greg and talked to him about it. And it's just, you know, things like that after 5 years, you shouldn't have to do. That's the daily issues that we run into. You gotta research it, figure it out, how to fix it. But so yeah, that'll, you know, it's like anything else down there. Just every year we have to up the ante for the repairs because it's just, everything moves 24 hours a day.
Well, it's all in water and, you know, it's just hard.
Corrosive water at that.
It's all corrosive.
But the plan is running good. You guys are on top of things, so that's the main thing.
Yeah.
What's going on down to the LMC? Are they still doing any?
Zero.
They're doing zero down there?
I don't know what they're doing, they're cleaning pipe, they're not using any water.
No.
Where's the water that they're cleaning it with going?
Doug's gonna go down, because, you know, we can go down and do a tour and check things out. We're gonna do that, and talk with them, and see what's going on.
The water's gotta be going somewhere.
Well, they're trucking it out.
Trucking it out probably.
How much money did
They're trucking it out, and they are, they put filters in, and they're reusing a lot of it. So, I mean, it's a smart on their part to do that.
I don't think their business is as strong as it was.
No, they're not cleaning as much pipe.
I was gonna say, the last I knew, they were pretty tough.
But they are still repaying basically the loan, if you will. The money that we invested, they're paying that back. They're still making payments. So we're getting our money back, but we're just not getting the revenue that we thought we were gonna get. So, but
It's what it is.
nothing you can do there.
Can't blame them for,
Well, yeah, if their business isn't maintaining either, it's, yeah.
You know, all of a sudden it could pick up, and all of a sudden, you know, here we go again, so.
I know, when I was down there doing training for drivers this year, they were like, they didn't have much work.
I think it's pretty up and down there.
Yeah.
Right now, I don't think there's any pipe in the yard that needs to be cleaned. There's some there that's clean, but, so who knows? That's about it, other than, I think maybe we're gonna talk with a little executive session later. Yeah, okay.
oh, I got
Parks and Rec, where are we there?
the same thing.
Yep.
That's one of the reasons why I wanted to kinda look at the budget, so we can kinda see if there's any money that we can start,
Yeah.
you know, with the footprint or whatever down at the park, and, you know, we gotta do whatever we gotta do.
We do
Now,
have an issue though, Pete and I were talking about today, is the bleachers. We've got to update a lot of our bleachers. The Niner hit us on those. They want the new ones with the, you know, all railings, and so people can't fall out the back. You know, our Little League field, they're all old. Let's face it, they're all.
All
ancient.
wooden ones, aren't they?
Yeah, them Little League ones are rough.
So that's a huge ticket item right there.
Well-
I've got to get prices.
I wonder also down there in left field if now's the time to take that big tree down. At
Oh,
Babcock,
yeah.
you know, that, now's the time to get those down when there's no leaves on them and all that. And
Yeah, you got to get the ground to freeze up so we can get in there. But yeah, that's not a big deal.
What do you got the dozer there? You're gonna do a parking lot with a dozer?
That's what we talked about doing. Yeah, that's why. we
The other
moved
one's
over
nice.
there.
Whiteman Lane Park.
I was hoping to have it done, get the trees down, at least get it, but
Get both parking lots in.
weather's kind
Right.
of turning.
just believe it or not, spring is around the corner.
It is.
I'm gonna tell you what, winter's been long enough already as far as I'm concerned.
But I mean, you'll blink 3 times, all of a sudden you'll be like, spring will be here.
Marissa, on the town, village, urban forestry grant application, did you put that on the action list?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's all I need to know. And the other item, being downtown during winter in the village and everything, and some of the other issues that occurred. The lights on the poles look fine, but if they weren't on, and especially during the day, and we talked about this last year, there's nothing down there that's very joyful.
For lighting and things.
Well, lighting or any kind of decorations, other than at nighttime when the lights are on.
Yeah.
Can
You
we
don't-
run those lights all day long? Like, I love to see like when it's red and white and they're kinda like
Yeah.
flowing. I mean, is there any reason why they don't run during the day? Because you can see them, can't you?
You might have
See
them.
them at
Yeah, you
during the
can.
day?
You know, so I don't know why I mean, it's not like it's cost any additional electric, because we're footing the electric bill, so I wonder if there's any way just to leave them on. Might decorate it a little bit.
I don't know why you can't.
I was just thinking maybe for next year, we thought about having some other kinds of decorations. I realized that the ones we were looking at were a little expensive.
Oh, we're gonna look at canes and stuff like candy canes and things like that.
Well,
hanging on the poles.
we looked at some, the plastic ones, not PVC ones that were several $100s.
Yeah.
And we decided that, when we were talking about that, that's when Kurt Lorman came up with the lights thing, which was great. But somebody made mention that during the day, you don't see anything.
Yeah, we used to be Reese and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd love to see the thing
A lot
across
of
Main. I
people
mean, if we
miss
gotta
the,
do a,
they miss the
what
one
if we
on our
just
roof
do
and
something
everything.
like
Well,
that?
Look forward to that.
Yeah,
but we have to do a thing to the state, right?
if, as long as, they didn't seem to be too excited last year when we had up, because they never even sent the permit back. But I took it down for Kurt, got it taken care of because he was way behind on stuff. And, they never complained after that. So they had it, so I don't think they would do much if we could put something up, say, in, each block or something. I think there's some other things we can do if we come up with a plan. Not something haphazard. I even thought, what if we just bought the stuff from Kurt? I don't know if he'd be willing to sell it. How much effort do you think there is to putting that up? I mean, he does it all by himself.
You mean just the lights that he puts up?
Yeah.
He has a technical part, because he does the,
Well, there's the part where the timing on it and all of that, but how difficult would that be? I wonder. I'd sort of like to see, I mean, somebody like, I realize that I don't want to put a lot on Nick's shoulders, but there ought to be somebody you can hire on real briefly just to program it and then walk away.
Does Kurt want to be done with it? Does Kurt want to be done with it?
I don't know yet. I gotta check with him because, his communication, leaves a little bit to be desired. And I reached out to him several times, and then at the last minute I hear from him and he said, "Oh, I'm running out of time." Yeah, you are. And he hadn't talked to any of the other people other than to tell him he needed some money. Well, he told me he only needed 3,000. We had the 25 in the budget. And then he was going around to Rotary and all these other clubs apparently, asking them for money. So, well, wait a minute, you said you had some of the money already raised and we had the budgeted amount. So I gotta figure out what's going on in his head. I know he's had some issues and stuff, but, most of what he did this year was actually labor. You didn't have to replace much.
We should get home and have him turn them on during the day with it. I don't know.
I could send him an email tomorrow. I don't have.
yeah, that was my thought, because I thought I seen him one time and it was still light out, and I was like, you can see the red and white, I mean.
Actually, it was
I kinda
on-
don't like with the, it looks like the snowflakes are falling, but like the red and whites, it just,
Yeah.
let them run.
Tuesday, I think they were on, because I was over Java Junk. I remember coming out and then I
And you
noticed
can,
they were on.
and you can notice them, and they kinda look, I like them.
I kinda liked them when they stayed on, and
Yeah.
they go off, and they're
Yeah.
off for quite a while before they come back on again.
They say they had the red, white, and blue ones, and they also had ones that were sort of an orangey red color that sort of, I
Yeah.
think, looked like flames.
Yeah. With the little snowflakes coming down, I mean, that
That's-
was kinda hard to figure out what that was.
Yeah. But, some ideas.
We've gone to-
I'll reach out to him, see what we can do about that.
We're not gonna have anything going across the street anymore, obviously, right?
Pardon?
We're not gonna have anything go across the street anymore, like,
Well, Dan and I were just talking about that. We could conceivably, if we can come up with something that's halfway decent, that we could probably do
when
it.
Santa Claus coming to town, I mean, as far
You already
as,
came.
no, I'm talking about,
Yeah, he came in just before this meeting. We got the whole story.
person, not that.
But my only issue is, and the one thought I had was, because I thought, well, if we can
I
get
wanna know when he's coming to town.
if we can get the thing that goes across, but we kind of hook them to somebody
Have
else's
the house
buildings.
anymore?
That's where our issue really comes, is
Yeah, the hooks are on both sides.
the hooks are on someone's building, so we'd almost have to get like some sort of agreement with them to attach, and if there was ever a problem, we would hold them harmless and not be an issue, and it would be on the village or something, but
It was over there by the theater, and I think went over to Marlene Mark's building, the old Reinholz building.
But it would be nice if there was one on, like you say, in each block, and
Yeah.
even if you
God,
put
they
a
don't
wreath
have the
across
house
with some
anymore?
lighting on it, it would give it
Something.
the
Santa's-
festive.
When I was a kid, they had a bell
Yeah,
on one of them, yeah.
I even like seeing about doing it year round, and then I see in Geneseo, they'll put like congratulations, seniors at graduation time, or
Kids usually.
kind of a little something to dress
You
Main
could
Street
sell
on.
advertisement from it to your
Where do they do
vendors,
Santa
to
Claus
your
now?
storefronts, you know.
That's for more discussion,
They
but I
don't
think for
have
next year.
a cabin for them anymore, I don't
Where
think.
do they do Santa Claus now, other than what we did
Go to
yesterday?
Rochester and find someplace.
15 feet in the air
You gotta pay for Santa.
as long as there's no trucks with it.
You mean dressing up?
There is no Santa cabin. Do we have that still?
It's around someplace, it's in pieces, I mean, it's,
Yeah. Yeah, what, we did have it down in the barns there,
it's still around.
yeah. Maybe that would be
Dress up
something.
like and-
No, I just,
No, but that, the one thing I noticed, and I can bring it, I got a meeting tomorrow with the, Marketing and Promotions Committee with of the chamber. They'll give a rundown on last week's event. But that's the one thing, other than Santa coming over in the parade, and then they have him come over here to light the lights that were already lit. Pardon?
They barely lit, just so you know.
Yeah, I know. I talked with Bob.
Actually, Jay Griffith came over and
Jay fixed it?
Well, I called everybody, I was sicker than a dog,
I know you
I
were.
wasn't going down.
Bobby was telling me that.
So, yeah, Jay went over, figured it all out, Dick Gans was down in Mount Morris,
Uh-huh.
so he came, Jay told him what he needed, he came home, I don't know if the two of them fixed it or wherever, they got it going.
Yeah.
That was like at 3 o'clock when Bob called me.
Yeah.
He says, power doesn't work. I'm
The
like,
power on the gazebo?
yeah, well, no, it was out.
One of the
way they did it
boxes.
Years ago wasn't really.
We need to take a look at that for next year, I
Well,
think.
I'd like to put, if we could, we'll see where the money falls, but put the lights up over there like we planned.
Mm-hmm,
And then they could just power them right out of the poles of the lights and be done with it.
okay.
Because now they're running extension cords all the way across the
Yeah.
area. It's kind of a,
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
yeah, it's not a good situation.
And you got the generator still over there?
No, they're up and running now.
Okay.
On the light, or on the power.
Okay, well, I think we've talked about that.
Yep.
I got some ideas, some direction. Work on it. Marissa, take notes.
She's got a pretty good look.
Yeah. Okay, technology. Car charging. We talked about the grants the other day,
We did.
and a couple things came out of that. Was number one, do we want to go with MRB, or do we want to use the county grant writer who we don't have to pay, because we will have to pay the MRB to do the grant? So I would say the one, but the only issue we have is what is the best deal as far as the two grants go? Which one, we're only going to apply for one.
Can't be that much money.
And one's a shared, you share, 50/50 or whatever it is, and the other
One
one
was
is.
matching grant.
Yep, matching grant, that was what I wanted to say, couldn't think of it, thank you.
What do they do, Pete, do they put a credit card in or something when they charge, or how does?
Never had to use one, so I don't know, but I would assume that's what it is. I can't
I
imagine.
think it's a great idea, but I'll also say, we've only had one person walk into these meetings and ask for one. Although it might be the wave of the future, I wouldn't want to expel any money into it unless the way it was portrayed in that meeting was it wasn't going to cost us any money.
Right,
If it's gonna cost us money, I think that there's gotta be more than one person that walks through the door. So if the grant is gonna cover it 100%, I'm all for it. But if it's gonna cost any money out of the village coffers, I don't think that we're there yet. There's too many other things that need to be done. That would just be my vote, so if the grant is matching, I'm not interested. My vote would be no, only because we got a lot of things I wanna
no,
do.
but that's what we pretty much
Yep.
said too.
So if there's a grant out there that someone else foots the bill, I'm all for the grant. If it means any money that coming
I
out of this
personally
village.
think we're prepared to put them in. Scott's got set up over there where it wouldn't take much to put them in if we had put them in at the parking lot.
Still matching.
I think we'll be all right
How much are we talking though? Weren't we talking a substantial amount of money?
someday if we need to put them in, we could put them in.
I think it was like $6,000
For one or two?
for two, I
Two.
thought, yeah. I go along with what Danny said, I mean, if you got a grant, that's fine, and I think it's a draw, because there's more electric all day
Big call
long.
for it.
I know, I drive a natural gas pickup, so you gotta plan where you're going. So, and I know if I go to Pennsylvania, I gotta go through Towanda, or I'm not going any further. But again, I think that's part of the same thing with electric, because you get a map of where they are, and that's how you plan your travels. And again, if you put it behind the sunrise or whatever, they're bound to, grab lunch or whatever.
But I also feel
But I
like-
agree, it's gotta be free to.
If we turn around and we just kind of put this on hold for now and then we go for the DRI next year again, that's definitely a part of, investment into, things like that. And you never know when you get $10 million, that really doesn't seem like a hit. But right now with parking lots and things that we got going on, I just think that's infrastructure is where our money needs to go. And although I very much appreciate the one gentleman that came in, it's the only one that I heard of.
Have one talk at a time, please.
That's the only thing I heard of was one guy walked in and had mentioned it, and it was a very good idea, but at this point, I was under the understanding with him it wasn't gonna cost us a nickel. Just my 2 cents.
Okay.
You move on whenever you want,
I talked with a gentleman last week from NYSEG, or representing NYSEG anyway, about LED conversion and taking over the lights. I just need the board's approval to go ahead and submit a letter saying we're interested. It should not be a commitment. Once he finds out we're interested, then he can send back a proposal
Motion.
Okay, well, I don't think we need, well, you can if you would like.
Motion for authorization to send a letter
Okay, all
for LEDs.
right, motion, yeah. And second?
Second.
Second from trustee Zay. Any discussion? Okay, trustee Nagel,
What are they for?
this is for your street lights. Replacing them with LED lights and taking over. Aye, okay. Couldn't tell.
Aye.
Trustee Zay, trustee Rittenhouse.
Aye.
Trustee Sick.
Aye.
And the mayor's an aye. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And the only other thing is, we had that meeting with the gentleman from, what company was that? On surveillance cameras?
Day automation.
His name was Dan or something, wasn't it? That outfit out of Victor?
Day automation.
I don't believe so.
No, I got his card upstairs.
It slips my mind right now.
Sounded rather expensive. On the other hand, you could do it in increments where you wouldn't have to pay out for a whole vast system. It still costs you a fair amount of money, but it's something to take a look at. Obviously not high on the priority list, but given the amount of constant repairs that have to be done on the gazebo and the security that is required for a couple of our plants, as well as probably the dump, excuse me, the organic landfill down there. Well, we might want to consider that, so I'll just keep you filled in. Like I say, it's not a committed thing right now. We just talked with them. And
You think the church would allow us to buy one? Because you can get like a 4-head camera system at like Sam's, and now not Sam's, but even BJ's, and you can get them for like $175, $200 now.
Are they Wi-Fi?
Well, no, but you would put them up right over there, and then if you got a problem, you would go into the church and just play them back. You know, the church could put them on the outside there and whatever, on the church park. Wherever that box sits, you can put them within 60 feet, just run the
Was
wires.
this company that you were,
And then it's free, other than,
was this company you were looking at, was it to purchase cameras or to just have them come in and
No, let's
pay
come
so
up and
much a month?
consult on even putting, the whole system from get-go, from planning to purchasing. The
I
whole.
mean, I'm just wondering if there's companies, because I think it's one of those things that.
Oh, I'm not saying this is the only one. This
Well,
is
no.
just one we're getting some ideas
My
on.
point is with this electronic stuff, and I hate it, because
Mm-hmm.
you're always spending money, it just seems like you're throwing money into the wind. But I
Mm-hmm.
think a lot of these, there's companies out there that'll put these cameras up and you just pay them so much a month to take care of them. Cause it's like when you buy them, I swear to God, you never got the right ones and they're outdated and, next month you're buying this one. And again, like we talked about the lights, who knows enough to program them, and, that's always my demise
Yep.
with that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem, and I get the security portion of it, but I think there's gotta be a company around there that's gonna say, hey, you gotta pay us $400 a month and we put up 12 cameras.
And I think with the gazebo, if there was a way to deactivate the electricity at a certain time, that would eliminate the kids going over there, plugging in their cell phones. And apparently there's Wi-Fi there because they're all over there huddled around outlets, and that's just what they're doing, is they're on Wi-Fi and just using our electricity. So, we try to eliminate that. There's an individual moving out of Church Street very soon that has a majority of the kids. That seems to be the attraction. That should help a little. Unfortunately,
Somebody
they're
will-
constantly monitoring that gazebo. But, once we shoo the kids away, it seems to be the problem stopped. And I did threaten that I was gonna contact Scott just to turn off the electricity. I don't know if that's an easy solution or not. Winter's here now, so that's helping us, obviously. They're not hanging out over there as frequently. But the electricity seems to be the draw for the younger kids. Just their cell phones, tablets, stuff like that. And whoever has the Wi-Fi over there, it's free.
They figured out the password.
go over and figure out who's got the Wi-Fi, and then go ask them, did you lock it down?
Or can we put a camera on your Wi-Fi?
Something to think about.
Okay, sounds good. All righty. And with that, is there any unfinished business or new business we need to include on the agenda for next week? Any of you might have, want to discuss or vote on?
There was one item that we discussed. Insurance.
We gotta go into executive session for a bunch of these items. I don't know if that's,
Okay,
are you talking about you?
yep,
That's one of the items.
okay.
No,
Motion to go into executive session?
Well, just, real quickly, do you have anything, Jasmine? Yeah, any questions you would like to ask before we, go away? We don't frequently have, the press at our committee meetings.
Oh, no?
No.
That was a special moment.
I guess you could look at it like that.
I do have a question specifically about what's gonna happen on January 1st. When he was talking about how the money's gonna come out of the towns and villages, how is that gonna affect us?
Well, I would suspect it's going to require a lot more effort on the part of the police department. And we are really shorthanded at this point in time, so it's either going to be one of these issues where we hire more people or we spend more on overtime. We are, as was mentioned a little earlier, we're looking at a clerk, which would help alleviate some of the paperwork. And we are looking at other, taking on some part-time employees, which will cut down on some of the expense because you don't have a lot of the benefits we have to pay out with part-timers that we do with the full-timers. So, yeah, that will save us, but right at this point, it's sort of an unknown. We just don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah. It's all unknown for all of us right now.
Yeah, it's, you can anticipate, but sometimes the best plans can go asunder in no time at all.
I think he said by the time March rolls around, people will know what,
What's going on?
what's happening, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
And is there any other big project you're planning on working on now that the parking lot's pretty much done by the library?
Keeping the roads clear for the winter and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Then in the spring, Superintendent Tracy and I have already talked about things that are still backlogged, need to be taken care of.
Okay.
Elizabeth Street still needs to be finished, other than the parking lot, and Clay Street, there's some issues over there that need to be taken care of yet. And it's just a lot of things, there's a sidewalk that needs to be put in someplace.
Correct?
Playground.
The creek, yeah, particularly over there by William Street, the creek needs to be, the blocks and that put in because it's caving in and stuff. There are a lot of things on the list.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes, but gotta see how much money we got left from this year.
Yeah.
Work in progress.
Yeah. We're in okay shape for now, but it's just a lot of work. It's ongoing.
It's ongoing work. Yeah. But it's all looking really good so far.
Yep, Scott's done and his crew have done a great job. We appreciate it, and I think a lot of the people in the village do.
We do. We all appreciate it. You can all pat yourselves on the back.
Pat yourself on the back.
Anything else?
No, I think that's it.
You're, okay.
All right. Thank you
Now,
so much.
you're welcome. Now I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss the work history of one particular employee, the health history of two particular employees, and an investigation into possible grant fraud. So I guess I need all of the remaining department heads to stay.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, I have a motion from trustee Zay, and who had the second? Trustee
will.
Rittenhouse.
Second.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Opposed?
Curiosity.
Unanimous. Now these are big earth-shattering
Thanks,
things
Jasmine.
compared to some of our past issues.